With a WagerTalk one-day power pass, you receive every play from every betting consultant for one full day at the ridiculously discounted price of just $149. What's better than spending the day watching and following a great slate of games? Watching, following, and winning those games. Get every WagerTalk expert and every game they release for that day. Sign up for the free WagerTalk Text Club to gain access to free plays and exclusive discounts. Just text WagerTalk to 33222 to sign up and get a $10 coupon to use on WagerTalk.com.
All right, guys, welcome in. Time for the Friday edition of the NBA Tip-Off Show, powered by WagerTalk.com. As we continue to chug along here, just about a week and a half left in the regular season. It is a packed card in the association tonight, but we do have our customary 4 games we are going to break down for you here, and we got some great matchups here tonight. Boston taking on the Bulls, Knicks taking on Phoenix here. We got Utah, Denver, and, of course, the Miami Heat trying to continue to roll there, taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. And we'll have an angle of the day, which I am fairly certain I won't be able to comprehend. But it's a good thing we've got the following 3 guests here today on the show, because I know they'll be able to figure it out as we welcome back Steve Merrill in the house here, taking over for Ski in the leadoff spot there. We've got the man from over in the pond. There he is, Kevin Dolan here, the Sports Wolf 83, and Tony Finn. So we want to welcome all of you here today because, well, we're excited. I mean, these games are getting to be crunch time for a lot of these teams. The games on the board here today, also a long way into figuring out who's going to have to play in that play-in tournament to make it in, who's not. So much to be decided here, but I'll turn to you first there, Merrill, and welcome you in on this Friday. What's been going on with you? I know you're locked and loaded for this weekend. MLB, obviously, NBA. What do you got up at WagerTalk.com?
Yeah, just less than a couple weeks left of the regular season. The NBA playoffs right around the corner, which I still think is probably the most consistent and best moneymaker in all of sports, the NBA postseason. So looking forward to that. Speaking about big moneymakers, the baseball season is as well. You know, it's the longest, most profitable season of all sports. And I've got a 3-pack for Friday night at WagerTalk.com. And I want to welcome Tony Finn to the Friday show. Also want to thank Kelly Stewart for getting on ESPN. Great grab by ESPN there, Kelly Stewart. And I brought up my 2007 ESPN flip phone. And I thought, how appropriate. Tony Finn is on the show. Why not bring in a flip phone? And if you don't have Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, it's okay. It's got the earphone jack on the side. But this is actually authentic 2007.
What's a flip phone?
Test. And my contacts there sent this to me. And needless to say, it did not go very far. That's why you all have probably never seen one. But that is legitimately a 2007 ESPN Sports pager phone. And with Tony Finn filling in on a Friday, I couldn't think of a better time to unveil that. And congrats to Kelly Stewart.
I have to have that.
For getting on there.
That.
So there's so many questions I have and not enough time for this. So I'm just going to ask if you could hold that phone up and tell me where the quarter goes. Where do you put in the quarter? All right, good stuff. Kevin Dolan, welcome in.
I think it's a dime.
I cannot. Kevin Dolan, welcome in. I apologize for the Merrill props to start the show as opposed to ending the show. But how you been, Kev? You are continuing to dominate in the NBA. So talk to us, man. What do you got going on here today? And as we head into the weekend, I know there's a big fight you're looking forward to as well.
Yeah, definitely. I know I'm all about that boxing, but yeah, all good, Joe. 2-0 night for us last night in the NBA, 2-0 night on Wednesday as well, and we're now on a 45-25 run on all NBA plays since March 1st, so pretty happy with that. And we have a huge 5% NBA juggernaut play up for tonight as well, 8-1 run on 5% plays. So, yeah, well, look, all things considered, pretty happy right now.
We got a lot going on here, and of course, Tony Finn trying to figure out where to put his dime in the payphone there that Merrill's holding up. But Finn, you were with us here yesterday, my friend. How was your evening, and what do you got going on tonight as we head into the weekend at WagerTalk.com?
Well, my evening was as typical. It was filled with It was filled with curse words and
okay. It was
errors.
a good night then. Is that what you're telling me?
Good night. Yeah, it was a good night. Plus, it was full, a lot of doers. I have two. I have one NBA, 4 MLBs, and some props that I really like. Some plus money props that are gifts from God.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gifts from God. That's nice. I thought you were the gift from God. Good God, I feel like I'm being punished.
No,
all right, guys, let's dive
rash.
into it here. No better place to start than the now, I believe, 10-0 Contrarian play in the last 10 games. We got it, guys. We've been red hot. We had the Clippers last night. We are looking here tonight at a game where there's one team getting an awful lot of love here, and that team is the Boston Celtics, which has us looking at the Chicago Bulls. Now getting 4 points in this matchup at home. Now, the Bulls welcome back to a couple of key pieces there. Levine, of course, Vucevic last night for them. So the Bulls look like what everyone thought the Bulls might look like. Now they're welcoming in Boston. But Merrill, the love is certainly opened up at 2.5 in this matchup here, and it looks like we're up to 4 now. The love is certainly coming towards the Celtics, but no Jaylen Brown. We know that for sure. Robert Williams is questionable. Tristan Thompson, Romeo Langford appear to be probable at this one. And no problems with Vucevic or Levine again. So here we go. We weren't sure what we were going to get for a guy that hadn't played in over a month, but it was pretty good because everyone around him played pretty well. So do you agree with this market move, or is there some value in going contrarian and backing the home dog here?
I think there's probably some value with the home dog. I mean, both teams are coming off impressive wins by over 20 points each. I think Chicago's was a little bit of a better opponent, obviously, at Charlotte versus at Orlando for Boston. Celtics also have, as you know, Joe, back-to-back games against Miami on deck this coming weekend on Sunday and next Tuesday, I believe. So could be a little bit of a look ahead there, and I think maybe a little bit of a flat spot for the Celtics. And hey, Chicago was 0-4 straight up at ATS, but like you said, an easy win last night. Maybe that's the buy sign. A little concerned about the no-rest situation, especially since they had to travel back home. But I'd still prefer to be on the home dog in this one.
I mean, listen, the numbers aren't great. We understand the market move, Kev. I mean, what are they, 12-20 at home, this being the Chicago Bulls. So I get the love for Boston, but I don't know. What do you think? 4 points here. You trust Boston?
Yeah, I think that's the way I'd lean if I had to play it. You know, I was on Chicago last night. It was one of my 2 winners in that card. I thought it was a great spot for them on the road at Charlotte, you know, after that poor run of form they were on. And, you know, they delivered. Game was basically over in the third quarter. But I am less, you know, bullish on them tonight. You know, if I was playing this, I would be looking towards the road team here. Bulls have been poor recently, coming off back-to-back spots, as you said, especially at home as well. So be a lean to Boston. But, you know, where the number is at right now, it's just a lean.
All right, just leaning that way. Tony Finn, what do you think? I mean, both road teams have won earlier this year against one another as they've split. So what do you think here? Do you agree with the market move, or you think Chicago's got some value here?
Well, this particular game I find extraordinarily interesting, intriguing to a degree that, and I'm not embellishing, not exaggerating, to the state that this Boston team, it might be worse than that rash, you know, leprosy.
Ooh,
they could be worse than that.
That's a disease.
The Celtics. The last time these two played, 102-96. And listen, I understand, because all of us, I'm certain that you will agree with me when I say that Chicago may be one of the top 5 defensive teams in the NBA. Right, where Boston scores 19, I think, in the second quarter. 19 in the fourth quarter against the Bulls. And I think one quarter, a 19-point quarter up against the Bulls is enough concern. 2 in one game. I, again, will say this. I think the line speaks volumes to who Boston is, because if this was Phoenix, if this was even the Lakers, the crippled Lakers, if this was Milwaukee, you're talking about 7 or 8 points, I think, the way Boston's been playing. For any of those other teams, I would agree with the this esteemed panel so far and say that Boston would be my lean in this if I was in the room. I'm actually in this room, but I'm on the total, so we'll talk about that in the best bet section.
Okay. Fair enough over there. There you go. You got it. Boston getting the love, getting the tickets. We're looking contrarian in that game, guys. Bulls getting 4 here tonight, taking on the Boston Celtics. That is your contrarian game of the day, 7:30 Eastern time tip there. We are going to move on to our very first featured matchup of the evening, guys. And who better to take a look at than these two teams, the New York Knicks on the road, taking on the Phoenix Suns here. And this opened up with Phoenix laying 6 at home. I'm seeing 6.5 pretty much across the board. I see the total had come down, 216.5s, 217s, pretty much dominating across the board here. This is, of course, the late night tip-off, but the Knicks, it didn't work out well, at least not in the first quarter against Denver. Now they're going to try to get off to a better start here, Kev, against the Phoenix Suns, who also coming off of a loss against Atlanta. They're back home now. Talk to me here. 6 points. You trust Phoenix to get it done?
Yeah, I like Phoenix here, especially coming off that embarrassing effort against Atlanta last time out. Understandable too, obviously, that overtime effort they had in the game before against Cleveland. But with only 6 games remaining, you would expect the Suns to be fully focused for this game tonight. They're obviously, when you delve into the data, they're definitely concerning signs. Phoenix defense has been absolute, it's sucked of late. Second worst defensive efficiency metrics in the league over the last 3 starts. They've allowed 45.9% shooting from outside the arc over that stretch as well. That's 4th worst in the league. So, from a data point of view, not a whole pile to get excited about taking Phoenix tonight minus the points. But I think the spot suits them more here. I think they do show up tonight. I think they do get the win. And look, the last time the Suns team got a proper, 20-plus point beat down, they came back the next game and beat Milwaukee. So, yeah, I do. I like Phoenix tonight, and I do expect them, to win and cover against the Knicks.
All right, it's interesting. I pulled this up prior to the show. I wanted to show you guys quickly because when it comes to spread numbers this year, I have the top 10 listed here against the number, and I want to show it to you guys because this is going to be very interesting. You've got the New York Knicks, number 1, and Phoenix, number 2, the top 10 teams against the number this year. They have been making nothing but bank, Tony Finn, for their backers in situations just like this. Number 1 versus number 2 in ATS. What do you do here, man? Who do you like more?
Well, I'm not going to spend an exorbitant amount of time on the breaking down the matchups for these two because I'm certain you would interrupt me and send me on my way anyway. So what I'll say is this.
Good talking to you, Tony. We appreciate that. We're just going to mute his ass as soon as we. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tony. You were saying.
Real quickly. The last time these two played, Phoenix was an 8-point winner in New York and scored 8 more points than New York in the fourth quarter, 31-23, fourth quarter. Phoenix shot. Listen. The Knicks at home shot 52% from the floor, 42% from distance, 80% from the free throw line, and rebounded with, equal in turnovers, and lost by 8 to a Suns team that they, in New York at MSG, shot 54%, 41%, 82%. This is a team, I saw this game, I watched it 3 times quick without huddles, without commercials, and it's a tough matchup for the Knicks. I like the Suns here. I like the Suns to not only cover by margin, double digits here. I really like them to handle Randall and take care of business.
All right, there you go. How about it, Merrill? You got 2 income-producing teams here. 2 teams have been very profitable against the number for backers. Which one do you tend to back here in this spot?
Yeah, I mean, the 2 best point spread teams in the league this year, and you would say, hell, take the 6.5 with the dog in that situation. We're also probably getting the better defensive team as a dog here. Both teams coming off losses, and Phoenix also returning home off a short road trip. So I think you can make some cases for New York with that. The concern, though, is that, as Kevin said, Phoenix is the better team. They're coming off a bad performance. I do look to back these Class A teams and focus spots. I actually played against Phoenix couple nights ago. I really liked Atlanta. That was a strong best bet for my client. So I don't read too much into that loss. I thought it was a really bad spot for him. keep in mind, too, the Suns had, and I haven't been on the show since this happened, John Ryan and I did a segment on Tuesday, and a lot of technicals John said pointed to Cleveland in that game. And we just couldn't really make a case for him. But I said, hell, if you're going to play him, the Suns either win and cover or they lose outright, right? So I was like, take the 7-1 on the money line if you're going to play Cleveland. That game was tied at the end of regulation. Yep. Cavs lose outright by 16 in overtime as a 12.5-point dog. That's one of the worst bad beats you'll ever see if you had Cleveland. I guess that's what you get for taking a team like Cleveland, and that's why John and I both agreed we weren't going to touch them despite all the strong technicals. But my point is that Phoenix is not in good current form right now. So I'd lean towards New York just based on the fact that, yes, they're off the one loss, but they've been playing excellent otherwise. The over catches my eye. This is only the 5th time since the end of March that Phoenix has lost a game. They're 4-0 to the over after those other losses. Kevin mentioned how they bounced back with some wins. They bounced back with some offense, though, and their defense has been suspect. Tony talked about that first game being extremely strong offensively. Now, the teams both shot lights out, and it still only hit like 228. But I think the over is probably the safest way to play the total. I'd lean towards the Knicks here plus the 6.5, but these have been two very good point spread teams this year, to say the least.
Yeah, and it's funny. I think we got one more because we all know how profitable the Knicks have been first half, right? Well, who do you think the number 2 most profitable team in the first half on the money line? That would be the Phoenix Suns. So there's no way around it. These two teams, no matter how you cut it, have been absolute money makers for the backers tonight. So it should be a great game, as should our next featured matchup with Utah taking on Denver. And it's so funny. This game opens up, 2.5 is what we saw, with a total of 219.5. As we look at it now, I'm seeing 4s. A lot of money coming in right now towards Utah, 216.5. So the total has come down. And Tony Finn, I'll come to you because the loss of Jamal Murray, we kept saying it, and people continue to say it. What are they going to be like? What are they going to do? They're so thin in the backcourt. Well, they just continue to win games. Maybe not cover, but certainly win games maybe that they shouldn't be. What do you think they do against this Utah Jazz tonight?
Well, we talked about this Denver team a little bit yesterday, if you remember, and I said that when they were 8-2 against a number since Murray had been injured, there was 2 teams they'd beaten had winning records, and those 2 combined were, I think, 4 or 5 games over 500 is all it was Miami and somebody else. Here's the problem here again. This is a Utah team that didn't handle Jamal Murray very well. If you remember last year, they were down, I think, 3-1, beat the Jazz for last year to move on in the Western. Utah survived 35 and 30 points by Jamal Murray and Jokic to win the first 109-105. It's very difficult, this matchup, despite the fact that Utah's not completely healthy, for me to ignore what Denver is right now. I like Utah here. I think they're the play, and I think laying 4 is absolutely fair, if not a steal.
All right. It's certainly going their way there, Steve. The market believes Utah is the way to go here. What about you?
Yeah, keep in mind a big revenge situation from last year's playoffs. Denver had soared over the total in all those games, and then they had that low score in Game 7 to advance. And Utah, so far this season against the Nuggets in the 2 meetings, they won the first one in that big revenge spot, then they lost then. So the first 2 games were both in Denver. Now they're in Utah. Of course, there's no altitude edge here either way because Denver's the one other team in the league that's kind of used to the altitude. And for that reason, I don't think you'll see the offenses tail off in the second half. We often see road teams get a little weaker offensively in the second half in Utah and in Denver. So I'd lean towards the over 217 in this one. I'm still not sold on that Utah defense. Their offense has started to learn to play without Mitchell. Denver, meanwhile, as we've talked on the show here, they were an over team initially with Murray out. They've now gone under 5 of their last 6. But they've still put up 110 points or more in 5 of those 6 games. So I think the total is now getting priced down where both teams are still capable of getting to that 110-plus range. So over 217 would be the way I'd play it.
It's interesting that total's gone down, Kev, because both of these teams pretty good offense efficiency rankings here. So when you look at this game, would you look at the side? Would you look at the total? How do you approach it?
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why it's gone down, though, because I was leaning to the under here. Now, it's just like what both teams have done recently. We've seen both teams have a noticeable drop-off in pace of late. both have seen their defense efficiency metrics improve as well. And I think both teams are effectively beat up as well. So I don't see this descend into a shootout myself. Denver's first half points per game has dipped by 6.5 points over the 3 most recent games, down from that season average. And, that includes a 64-point effort against New York last time out. So it's kind of even more stark, just 42 points in the first half against the Lakers, 52 against the Clippers. And, Utah, at least metrically, have a better defense than the Clippers do. So I'm expecting that to kind of continue here tonight. Utah have actually allowed the fewest first half points per game in the league this season, both overall and at home. So I like the wee prop bet. Denver under 54.5 points in the first half tonight in this one. I think Utah, can find success slowing them down here. And I think 54.5 for Denver in the first half, just a touch too high.
All right. Love that. Talk to me, Tony Finn. Which way you leaning here one more time to recap this all for us?
I'm going to lean towards the New Orleans Jazz.
Away or in Denver? You're going to go. That's in Denver, right? Okay, good.
I like the Jazz.
As it is. So we got Jazz. We got a total. We got a whole lot story. And what should be, I think, certainly the game of the night here. So keep an eye on that one, guys. Late night. Actually, not as late. 9 o'clock Eastern time is the tip there. And the Lakers and Blazers, of course, are going to play on the late night game. But we do have an overtime matchup here today. Interesting enough, this was one of the only games where we actually watched some steam come in and push the number up, and we'll see if that continued to happen here. But our overtime matchup is going to be with the Miami Heat taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and it opened up somewhere around that 221 and a half mark, and it's certainly the one game that has been steamed up, 226 and a half, Steve. So talk to me here. Is it, do you agree with that much movement in the total with the Miami Heat? I know you probably do with the Wolves, but is there any value to the over anymore, or is it under for you?
I still think there's some value with the over. Miami now on 7 straight overs, and as you said, there's no problem playing Minnesota over the total. In fact, these bad teams that are out of playoff contention, I always look for a reason to play the over here in the final couple of weeks of the regular season. So the question becomes, can their opponent do it? And as I just said, Miami's on a 7-0 overrun, so I think they're more than capable of playing a fast pace with them. I don't see this game slowing down. And yes, the total's creeped up, but hey, it's still in the 220 range. Like you said, it's only it's only a couple baskets above the league average for the season, which is about 223. Memphis, Minnesota, 274 points. New Orleans, Minnesota, 276 points the last 2 games. So, yeah, I've got no problem playing the over here, and I think there's room to climb still. It gets into the 230 range for the final score.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler, questionable. Tyler Hero, still questionable. Those of you that went out and bought a Victor Oladipo jersey, he's still in the league. Just not ready to play for the Miami Heat. So, Kev, talk to me here, my man. Is it an over or not for you with the Minnesota Timberwolves here?
Yeah, I agree with all Steve's points there. I would definitely take a look at the over as well. Miami, they've just been dismal on defense over this recent stretch of games. Season average 6th, obviously, on defensive efficiency, but that's dropped to 28th over the last 3 starts. So, the Heat are really coming off the boil. That's a wee pun there. So, yeah, and look, Minnesota, they're just poor overall on defense. So, yeah, I would definitely. I think, as Steve said, there's still room for the over here.
The Jimmy Butler injury is interesting here, Tony Finn, because those that backed the Heat the other night learned that he had the squirts or something, and all of a sudden, 10 minutes before tip-off, he was nowhere to be found, and all of a sudden he's not going. But if he doesn't go here tonight, does that change your opinion on which way you might lean towards the total here?
Well, yes, of course it would. And I read Butler's lips the other day when he disappeared, and he says, you could see him, if you can read lips, so I can read lips. And he said, I just pooped my pants. I didn't have to go to the locker room. I'm telling you that this team isn't completely healthy. This isn't the same Miami team that was in the play that made that magical run last year. Looking back, guys, I'm surprised that this seems like night and day between these two teams. I know Miami's had some COVID issues. I know they've had some injuries. I know that they're not getting the same shooting from beyond the arc that they got last year. And my question here to you guys would be this. Do you think Miami even tries? Listen, they're going to be in that play. They're going to be in the number 7. They're not going to overtake. I think they could beat Boston twice in two games in 3 nights that you guys talked about earlier, and still possibly not secure the 6th seed. Boston, Chicago, Miami, Cleveland, Minnesota, New York, Miami, Minnesota, Boston, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Detroit. While some people would say that's not that big a difference in strength schedule, I would disagree because of the matchups. And I'm not excited about Miami at all tonight. I would have to agree with the panel. I would play the over if I was going to be. If somebody put a gun to my head and made me play the game, I'm not in this room or in the game, but my lean would be to the over.
Yeah, it's a very strange season so far for Miami. Also, just 11-15-1 against the number at home at the AAA as a favorite. So it's been very unheat-like so far this year. We'll see what happens with this game as the number continues to rise. All right, we're going to put it all together, of course, and drop some best bets on you here. But first, I do want to remind you that Steve, along with Kevin Dolan, along with Tony Finn, they told you guys best bets locked and loaded here, not only for tonight, but now might be a good time, especially given the fact of the big boxing match coming up, huge weekend, MLB with these guys, maybe a 3-day, 7-day all-access pass. That is certainly the best value on the board here. Get every play. Every sport from these guys for the next 3 to 7 days right now by visiting their pages at WagerTalk.com. All right, let's do it, Merrill. You are running point here today, so we'll throw 60 seconds on the clock. As long as you keep your pants on, we're good here, man. Talk to us. Where are you going here tonight?
I am wearing green shorts, actually, but I have so many other props to get to here that I'm going to actually use a play we just used, so I don't have to give much analysis because I'm so excited about the props I have to get to. And I'm going to use the over in that Miami-Minnesota game. I've got one strong NBA side best bet, 2 baseball plays at WagerTalk.com, big 3-pack. My top total, though, would be the over that we just talked about, the Miami-Minnesota game. I'll keep it simple. Like I said, Minnesota's played absolutely no defense. All they want to do is score and pad their stats. 274, 276 total points the last 2 games. On the season, they're giving up over 120 on the road. Miami's a 6.5-point favorite, so that means 120, 114, 113. That's in the 230 range. So this total's too low, even though it's risen a couple points. Heat and T-Wolves over. And with the remaining time, once again, props to Kelly Stewart for getting the ESPN betting gig, the old flip phone from back in the day. But I know this is too modern for Tony Finn, so we're going to check that winning overplay with the sports pager from the 1990s that I found in the same collection. It pops out and everything. And look at that, Tony Finn. Do you remember these days? I know Tony Finn remembers the days of the sports pager.
I'm too old. I can't see that far. You know how old I am.
The man has a damn beeper as a prop. Oh, my word. I cannot wait. Look at that. He's got a beeper, and he's got it on his belt. He's probably got a fanny pack he keeps it in, too. Get your ass off the screen. Kevin Dolan, 60 cents. Well, 60 cents. That's about what that damn beeper's worth. 60 seconds. Come on, Kev. Talk to us, my man. Where you going?
Yeah, well, just to remind everybody about that 5% play we got up in the NBA tonight, you can grab that on its own or use coupon code IRISH30. So that takes $30 off a 3-day all-access pass until midnight tonight. So great deal, obviously, especially as you said, Joe, as well with that second 5% play up tomorrow night in the Canelo-Billy Joe Saunders fight. Mega excited for that. So, head on over, take advantage of that code IRISH30. In terms of a best bet for this show, I already took Cleveland this morning, plus 10.5 against Dallas. I think it's plus 10 now, but I still like it. This is not a spot I expect Dallas to show up in here. I've been impressed with the fight recently shown by this Cleveland team. They played Phoenix tough on Tuesday night. I don't know how they didn't cover that spread. As Steve said, one of the worst beats of the year. And they simply ran out of gas in a brutal back-to-back spot on Wednesday night against the Blazers. I do expect them much more, competitive tonight. And Dallas are just 1-7 ATS in their last 8 against sub-400 road teams. So that's a really, really poor record. I'll take the double-digit points with the dog here. And Cleveland plus 10 tonight for me, best bet.
Let's do it. Love it. Irish 30, guys. Make sure you're visiting Kev's page now, too, along with that 5% tonight, that 5% tomorrow night for that Canelo fight, which should also be amazing. All right. Come on. Let's do it, Finn, here. I know you got nothing but money for waiting for it. I can smell the cash, or you just shit your pants. One or the other. But come on, 60 seconds. Come on, help us out here.
I used the word poop at least.
Yeah,
Right?
no.
You
Yeah.
know, for purposes or FFA or whatever. I don't need a whole lot of time to talk about this. I will get arguments. I will get people shaking their head. No, I don't agree. I'm not sure what you're laughing at because I can't see you right now. I'm too old. I can't see that far. I liked the over in the Boston-Chicago game, even though I mentioned the 2 19-point quarters. There's a lot of reasons to believe that this Boston team, I believe they're worse defensively. I think they're a bad defensive team with Brown, with Jalen. He's a horrible help defense. He's just horrible on help defense. This Boston team isn't very good this year. They don't have a quality bench. The starters will score. Chicago can't defend. Love, I got 223 over the total. Boston, Chicago, 223. Now up to 224. Like it to about 225. Book it. Cash your ticket.
Damn, get her done. That's what we're talking about. Steve, is that the FFA? Is that the FFA on the phone?
You said book it, man. I'm booking the players we speak. I'm checking the winning score.
I can't.
I heard book it. I just did my instincts.
Give me a minute. I got to read this damn angle from the day that nobody's going to understand. Come on, let's go. John Ryan, of course, our good friend over at sportsmemo.com. He loves giving us these angles. Let's see what he's got here today. We are looking to bet on winning record underdogs. Interesting. Not a lot of words. I think I can make it through this. The favorite, if they are coming off a 20 or more point loss, and they are now installed as a favorite, and if that favorite also has a winning record on the season, well then 22-5 against the number, 82% over the last 5 seasons, which means bet the Knicks tonight, guys. Take those points against Phoenix. He also reminds us that the Knicks are 17-5 against the number since game number 41 this season. When facing opponents that average 18 or more three-point shot attempts, that has a lot to do with the Knicks defense. But John Ryan says take the Knicks plus the points tonight. Our good friends over at the Gold Sheet, well, they're looking the other way. They are looking the other way of the Miami Heat, that is. Timberwolves plus 6.5 at the AAA tonight. They like Minnesota. You'll love this write-up as well, and you guys can read them all. You don't have to strain right now like Tony Finn does. You can read the entire write-up on Twitter at WagerTalk's page there. Just make sure that you are following WagerTalk. All the Gold Sheet plays of the day, full write-ups, guys, on these shows are available there for you to take a look at. And to recap it all, put a bow on it, we've got Steve Merrill and his beeper taking the Timberwolves, the Heat over 226.5. Kevin Dolan, Irish 30 is that code, guys. Cavs plus 10, not expecting a lot out of Doncic and the boys here from Dallas. Tony Finn, Celtics Bulls, guys, go over 224.5. Our friends from the Gold Sheet, they like the Timberwolves getting the points. Our good friend John Ryan, well, he likes the New York Knicks getting points against the Phoenix Suns. Don't forget, Chicago Bulls, our contrarian side of the day, taking on those Boston Celtics here. Guys, make sure you hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner. Make sure you visit Steve. Make sure you visit, of course, Kevin and Tony Finn. No reason not to make it a profitable Friday into the weekend. You can do so by visiting them at WagerTalk.com. Merrill locked and loaded. His beeper is up for sale. You can catch that on Craigslist. No problem there. He's also got a Napster account that's still active. He's got no problem sending your way a little MySpace. Kevin Dolan, Tony
got Napster
Finn.
hair with the pick.
Oh, my good God, I can't, man. Bottom line, guys, thank you very much. Let's make it a profitable weekend. Hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner. Come back and join us Monday as we wrap up the NBA regular season, getting ready for the playoffs. In the meantime, best of luck. We'll talk to you then. Have a great weekend.
Why don't you have Vegas John Kelly